new archaeological finding having to do with how humans traveled to the Greek islands of the Aegean, and evidently was much easier than we thought because of the fact that we had a mini ice age and there was less water and there was more land exposed, making traveling a lot more easier. In other words, the sea travel was easier and overland travel was easier. This is amazing. This is on Daily Mail, having to do with early humans traveling to the Greek islands tens of thousands of years earlier than we believed. And from what scientists are claiming, they could have even walked to these islands when the seas were low. Archaeologists have been digging in a quarry on the island of Naxos in the Aegean since the year 2013. The Aegean Sea had traditionally been thought impassable, but the dig unearthed 12,000 stone tools of a type used by Neanderthals, and they must have developed boats or reached Naxos and, of course, the other Aegean islands when sea levels were lower. Anyway, either way, the results shake up our understanding of early human migrations. It's by Anne Randall. And early humans, they said, reached the Greek islands tens of thousands of years earlier than we thought previously. This is, of course, by excavations, archaeological excavations done by a Canadian university. Most universities have archaeological departments that have excavations in the summer months, anywhere from spring to the end of October. And not only in Greece, but Israel and various areas around. Now, archaeologists digging in the quarry in the island uncovered around 12,000 stone tools and weapons, and they consisted with those used by the Neanderthals. Of course, this was about 50 to 200,000 years ago. Now, findings overturn existing theories on early hominin migrations. Greek islands originally thought to have been uninhabited until about 9,000 years ago. Well, that's changed, obviously. Instead, researchers now propose that either Neanderthals were sophisticated enough to make boats, or they walked to the island when sea levels were a lot lower during the Ice Age. We know that there was an Ice Age 12,900 years ago. That has to do with the asteroid strike that took place, causing various upheavals, and also the ash cloud coverings that caused the Ice Age as well. And of course, extinction level events. Now, either way, the results show that these quote-unquote Neanderthals, or whoever they were, could adapt to new environmental changes and may have taken unknown routes to their migrations. And as the map shows us, these are various images. Of course, this is Santorini that we're looking at here. They didn't find any human remains because obviously before the Santorini eruption of the volcano, they had precursor quakes and warnings, and they obviously evacuated the island. And this is one of the images of what we would find in various Aegean islands, having to do with the type of construction, the type of dry stone wall constructions of antiquity. So, the archaeologist Tristan Carter of the Canadian McMaster University and his colleagues were working on Naxos, the island of Naxos, since 2013. They were excavating the quarry called Stelida, northwest close to the island, and they unearthed thousands of tools and even hunting weapons fashioned from the local stone, which was chert, and they dated back to between 13,000, that's the Ice Age area, to 200,000 years ago. These, of course, are the caryatids of the Parthenon and the Acropolis of Greece. Each one of them was different face, different hairstyle, as you can see. They're ready to take a step to protect their the gods of that time. As you can see, one of the legs is bent, caryatids. Now the team unearthed thousands of tools, as we said, Among the tools, the so-called Mode 3 or the Mousterian, the technologies in which small, sharp stone tools are made from prepared cores and then they're retouched. The Mode 3 technologies commonly associated with Neanderthals reveal that they were active around Naxos at that time. Not only Naxos, all of these Aegean islands, they're so close to each other. It takes about with a good wind, it takes about an hour or two to get from one to the other, depending on how close they are. Now, until recently, this part of the world was seen as irrelevant to early human studies. This is what Professor Carter says. But the results, he says, force us to completely rethink the history of the Mediterranean islands, especially Greece. As you can see here, it's filled with islands. And you can imagine now when the sea level was a lot lower, all of this was basically unified land masses. Now, while mainland Europe was known to be occupied by Stone Age hunters as far back as 1 million years ago, experts thought that the islands of the Mediterranean were first settled some only 9,000 years ago by farmers. Now, one possible explanation could be that the Neanderthals were able to fashion crude seafaring boats capable of crossing short spans of water. Otherwise, the researchers propose that the Aegean Islands may have been more accessible at that period of time, and that the Neanderthals could have walked there. It could have been a combination of two, actually, right? So this may have been possible at various times during the last ice age, when the ice, locked up at the poles, would have lowered the sea levels, exposing the land bridges between Africa and Europe, one that incorporated Naxos. Well, we know that even happened from what they revealed between northern Germany and England. There was the Doggerland area, which was an island or a piece of landmass between England and northern Europe. So from there, taking a small ship, a small fishing boat, it was a hop, skip, and a jump. Because of the fact that the Ice Age locked up so much water, you had more landmass exposed. Now, according to this team here, the archaeologists on Naxos, the area would have proven attractive to these early humans because of the fresh water, the abundance of raw materials, ideally available, suited for construction of tools, and also, of course, you had the fish in the sea, ready available food sources. I remember I had gone we used to vacation on these islands, and there was one man had a simple life. He was a fisherman, a young fisherman. He would take out his boat, and as he was approaching back to shore in the evening, he was calling out to one of his the people on the shore. He says, "I feel like a king. I don't need anybody. All I have is my boat, and I go out and I catch my food for the day, the fish that is from the sea." He says, "I don't have to rely on anybody else." That's amazing. It really is amazing to be able to support yourself that way. Anyway, that's how they used to, that was easy. If you had your olives, your onions, your fish, basically you had a lot to live on, which was free. Now, Professor Carter said that in entering the region, the pre-Neanderthal populations would have been faced with new challenges environmentally, different animals, plants, even diseases that required new adaptive strategies. And the findings from his studies were published in the journal Science Advances. Now, who were the Neanderthals? They were close human ancestors that mysteriously died out around 50,000 years ago, and the species lived in Africa with early humans for hundreds of millennia before, moving across Europe around 500,000 years ago. They were later joined by humans, taking the same journeys sometime in the past 100,000 years. This is from what anthropologists theorize. These were the original cavemen, they said, historically thought to be dim-witted and brutish compared to us modern humans. And in recent years, though especially over the last decades, it's become increasingly apparent we've been selling Neanderthals short because they were pretty smart. A growing body of evidence points to more sophisticated and multi-talented kind of cavemen than anyone thought possible. It seems likely that Neanderthals buried their dead with the concept of an afterlife in mind. See how eternal life of the soul is built into the DNA of people? So additionally, their diets and behavior were surprisingly flexible. So looking at the map, you can see that light gray area, estimated landmass during 13,000, 200,000 years ago, meant that there was very little sea between the islands. Most of it was landmass covering. So it would have been very easy to get from one place to the other. Even under Halkidiki, that peninsula with those three landmasses jutting out, would have been locked sea in that area, like a lake. Most of this area would have been lakes. Amazing. Amazing. And you can see even under the peninsula of the Peloponnese, that area is going down towards Crete. So the distance between the Peloponnese and Crete, that long island horizontal at the bottom, would have been a very short distance to cover if they were sailing there. Amazing. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.